What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Friday, April 29th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate.
And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made.
Okay guys, we have a 13-game slate tonight, and I love this slate. Lots of good matchup, lots of good plays. So at the pitcher position, I like Frankie Montas pitching against a low-salary batting team, the Cleveland Guardians. Frankie Montas is only giving up a .577 OPS versus righties. He's facing 5 righties here tonight, and on top of that, the Guardians have only hit 6 of his last 37 pitches. That's a 162 batting average. He's $10,200 FanDuel salary, and he's $2,100 less on DraftKings. So I like that price on both sites, but I love that DraftKings price, averaging 37 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 44, 40, and 44 fantasy points in the last 3 games. Has an ERA of 3.28. Record is 2-2 on the season, pitching an average of 90 pitches per game. And Vegas thinks this is going to be a super low-scoring game. Only 6.5 runs scored in this game. That's their over-under. So I like Frankie Montas here versus the Cleveland Guardians. Okay, let's take a look at the catcher first base position. I like Anthony Rizzo with a 21% batting advantage over a low-salary pitcher, Kris Bubic. Anthony Rizzo is batting a .936 OPS versus lefties, and Kris Bubic pitching 19% worse to lefties as he does righties, giving up a 1.067 OPS versus lefties. Anthony Rizzo is 1 for 2, batting a 1.167 OPS versus Bubic. He's $3,900 FanDuel salary, $1,200 more on DraftKings, averaging 16 fantasy points per game on the season. But that's because he had a monster game just 3 games ago. He scored 13, 3, and 73 fantasy points in the last 3 games. 73 fantasy points is absolutely insane for an MLB DFS batter. Just unheard of right there. So I like Anthony Rizzo, who's got a .290 batting average here versus Kris Bubic. Now I also like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He sat out last game with a right foot contusion, but it's likely that he's going to play here tonight, and if he does, he's in a great spot with an 83% batting advantage over Jose Urquidy, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. batting 41% better versus righty pitchers, batting a 1.013 OPS versus righties. Jose Urquidy pitching his worst ball versus righty batters, 41% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .886 OPS versus righties. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is 4 for 9, batting a .444 batting average and a 1.222 OPS versus Urquidy. He's $4,000 FanDuel salary, $1,300 more on DraftKings, averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season, has a batting average of .309. So I like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. here versus Jose Urquidy. Now here's a value play. I like Trey Mancini with a 74% batting advantage over Rich Hill. Trey Mancini, batting 35% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .894 OPS versus lefties. Rich Hill, pitching his worst ball versus righty batters, 39% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .865 OPS versus righties. Trey Mancini is 1 for 3 with a 2 OPS versus Hill because that one hit was for a home run. And he's only $2,800 FanDuel salary, $200 more on DraftKings, averaging 7 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 16, 3, and 10 fantasy points in his last 3 games. Has a batting average of .236. So I like Trey Mancini here versus Rich Hill.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. I like Tommy Edman with a 43% batting advantage over Madison Bumgarner. Tommy Edman batting 15% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .944 OPS versus lefties. Madison Bumgarner pitching his worst ball versus switch hitters, 28% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .856 OPS versus switch hitters. Tommy Edman is 4 for 6, batting a .667 batting average and a 1.917 OPS versus Bumgarner. He's $3,400 FanDuel salary, $1,500 more on DraftKings, averaging 13 fantasy points per game on the season. He's been on fire, scoring 26, 31, and 18 fantasy points in the last 3 games. And he's got a batting average of .323. So I like Tommy Edman here versus Madison Bumgarner. Now I also like Ian Happ, and he's got a 5% batting advantage over Adrian Hauser. Ian Happ batting 7% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .846 OPS versus righties. Adrian Hauser giving up a .697 OPS versus switch hitters. Ian Happ is 3 for 8, batting a .375 batting average and a 1.125 OPS versus Hauser. He's $3,400 FanDuel salary, $1,000 more on DraftKings, averaging 11 fantasy points per game on the season, and he has a batting average of .333. So I like Ian Happ here versus Adrian Hauser. Now I also like Wilmer Flores with a 39% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Aaron Sanchez. Wilmer Flores batting 19% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .782 OPS versus righties. Aaron Sanchez, he's pitching his worst ball versus righty batters, 20% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .852 OPS versus righties. Wilmer Flores is 1 for 2 with a 1.5 OPS versus Sanchez. He's $3,000 FanDuel salary, $1,100 more on DraftKings, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season, has a batting average of .266. So I like Wilmer Flores here versus Aaron Sanchez. I also like Thairo Estrada with a 71% batting advantage over that same low salary pitcher, Aaron Sanchez. Thairo Estrada batting 51% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .824 OPS versus righties. Aaron Sanchez, we know, pitching his worst ball versus righty batters, giving up a .852 OPS versus righties. And Thairo Estrada is 1 for 2 with a 1 OPS versus Sanchez. He's 3,300 FanDuel salary, 1,300 more on DraftKings, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season. He has a batting average of 246. So I like Thairo Estrada here versus Aaron Sanchez. Now I also like Kyle Farmer with an 8% batting advantage over Antonio Senzatella. Kyle Farmer batting a .706 OPS versus righty pitchers. Antonio Senzatella pitching his worst ball versus righty batters, 18% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .999 OPS versus righties. And Kyle Farmer is 3 for 9, batting a .333 batting average and a .733 OPS versus Senzatella. I like this pick because he's only 2,800 FanDuel salary, same price on DraftKings, and Kyle Farmer has averaged 8 fantasy points per game on the season. He has a batting average of 279. So I like Kyle Farmer here versus Antonio Senzatella.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Now, a really cheap DraftKings play here is Mike Moustakas. He's only 2,100 DraftKings salary. Now, he's only got a batting average of 176, so temper your expectations here. But he is 5 for 9 versus Senzatella with a 1.556 OPS. So he's 2,700 FanDuel salary. Probably not going to play him on FanDuel, but he's 600 less on DraftKings. Now, he's only averaging 4 fantasy points per game on the season. He did score 19 fantasy points last game, and Vegas thinks there's going to be 10.5 runs scored in this game. So a high-scoring game, super cheap on DraftKings. He's got good batter versus pitcher matchup here. So I think I could go with Mike Moustakas on DraftKings here versus Antonio Senzatella. Another value play is Colton Wong with a 33% batting advantage over Kyle Hendricks. Colton Wong batting 20% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .701 OPS versus righties. Kyle Hendricks pitching his worst ball versus lefty batters, 13% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .847 OPS versus lefties. But I like this pick because Colton Wong is 18 for 50. That's a .360 batting average with a .978 OPS versus Hendricks, and that's a big sample size. He's only 2,300 FanDuel salary. He's 1,600 more on DraftKings, averaging 7 fantasy points per game on the season. But he's been on a nice little streak here. Scored 9, 13, and 28 fantasy points in the last 3 games. Now, he only has a batting average of 209, but I think his FanDuel price is super cheap, and he's got a great matchup. So I like Colton Wong here versus Kyle Hendricks. Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I like Alex Bregman with an 8% batting advantage over Yusei Kikuchi. Alex Bregman batting a .752 OPS versus lefties. Yusei Kikuchi pitching 22% worse to righties as he does lefties, giving up a .784 OPS versus righties. And I like this pick because Alex Bregman is 6 for 17, batting a .353 batting average and a 1.228 OPS versus Kikuchi. He's 3,700 FanDuel salary, 1,200 more on DraftKings, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season with a batting average of .250. So I like Alex Bregman here versus Yusei Kikuchi. Okay, who do we have at the shortstop position? Did I give you all of my shortstop players? Yeah, I did. That happens, these guys are just always dual position or triple position eligible. Let's see if I can find another one for you while we're here. Take a look at Xander Bogarts. He's in a good spot here versus a low salary pitcher, Kyle Bradish. Xander Bogarts is batting 17% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .954 OPS versus righties. No at-bats versus Bradish yet. Xander Bogarts is 3,800 FanDuel salary, 1,200 more on DraftKings, averaging 10 fantasy points per game on the season with a batting average of .392. So I like Xander Bogarts here versus this low salary pitcher, Kyle Bradish. Okay, moving on to the outfield position. We picked this guy yesterday and he sure did come through. Although a lot of the batters were duds yesterday, I really didn't like that slate. It was just a tough slate all around. Our pitcher crushed it. A few of our batters crushed it, but it was a tough night to find the right plays. But I am loving this slate here tonight, and this guy's good again. Take a look at Aaron Judge, and he's batting against Kris Bubic. Aaron Judge batting 19% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.048 OPS versus lefties. Kris Bubic giving up a .862 OPS versus righties. No at-bats versus Bubic yet. Aaron Judge is 3,900 FanDuel salary, 1,300 more on DraftKings, averaging 12 fantasy points per game on the season. He scored 35, 9, and 25 fantasy points in the last 3 games with a batting average of .296. So I like Aaron Judge here versus Kris Bubic. I also like Marcell Ozuna with a 57% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Garrett Richards. Marcell Ozuna batting 11% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .725 OPS versus righties. Garrett Richards pitching his worst ball versus righty batters, 46% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .876 OPS versus righties. Marcell Ozuna is 1 for 1 with a 3 OPS versus Richards. He's 3,200 FanDuel salary, 900 more on DraftKings, averaging 9 fantasy points per game on the season with a batting average of .269. So I like Marcell Ozuna here versus Garrett Richards.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this MLB slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again and good luck.